Hello and welcome to week 4 in statistics here. And like I said, I'm going to be posting these videos even though we are going to be meeting later on today. So this week, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to catch up now that both of you have your textbooks and your software. And we'll be probably spending a good deal of time today talking about getting that up and running, make sure we can screen share. But I really want to lock into the expectations of the timeline that I have in Brightspace now. So let's take a look at Brightspace here. And we have the timeline. And we've been doing a lot of orientation here, which is perfectly fine. This last week has to do with the Chapter 1 discussion, Chapter 1 quiz, and Lab A, which is really about, it's an assignment where you're going to be using Excel and SPSS, but it's really to kind of get you started and familiarized with some of the interface, which we'll cover today. But I also want to go into the material for week 4, which is beginning right now, material that will be due February 7th. We'll start with data and distributions and the discussion and quiz there and Excel. So my hope is that we can get through that material today. And to help that along, I've decided I'm going to kind of go through this a little bit, see what it's like here in the course book about what I hope to accomplish. Now, first of all, we're going to start off the class today talking about installing your software and getting that all up and running. So like in the course book, here we have the Chapter 1 lab, which is Lab A, preparing technology for the class. I want to talk a little bit about Zoom, make sure that we can share our screens. We want to go into if you need Office 365, and because you're going to be able to use Excel, and how to create screenshots because you'll be submitting your work that way. You'll still be submitting labs in Word files, or converted to PDFs or something. But so you'll take screenshots from Excel, screenshots from SPSS, and embed them into those documents. It's one of the skills to get as we move here. So I'll introduce you to the grading rubric that applies to all labs. It's just a simple grading rubric that has to do with, there's always a title page, and then everything that's expected in the lab being 80%, and then mechanics writing well and all that stuff. It's still very important. And we transition into the week 4 material, and we start talking about data and how data is distributed. This is going to be the first venture into understanding the focus of this class, which is to manipulate and interpret data. And so going right through this stuff here, we start looking at the difference between populations and samples, and what does that mean when we sample something. And here you kind of have this graphic there. We'll discuss that. We'll go into types of data, because the types of data that you use determine your statistics. So if you're using nominal data, you can really only use frequency tables, but if you're using ratio data, you can go into means and standard deviations and correlations and stuff like that. It gives you more tools when you're working with different kinds of data. We're going to be doing some activities here. That's a little quiz on scales of measurement. And then here's the scales, the different types of data: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio data. A little bit here about distributions, frequency distributions. We're going to get into that, and we're going to create some frequency distributions. That's how many times, essentially a frequency distribution is how many times did a particular score show up. So you might have a quiz and that you're doing, let's say you have 100 students in a class, a big class, and you want to know, well, how many people got a 50? How many people got a 55? How many people got a 56? How many people and it would just be, kind of create a table with bars that go up. You have the different scores along here, and you have the number of people that got the score there, and you're like, okay, this many people got 80, this many people got 83, this many people got, and you get this frequency distribution. You could put that in a table as well, but it looks, it's really easier to present that in terms of a chart, which is the bars and a graphic element to that. And here we're going to talk about distributions and probability. The first part of that, the shape of the distribution. If you actually took all those bars and you did a whole bunch of them and you just drew a line across the top of those bars, what would be the shape of that particular set of data? And that tells you something about that data. Then we're going to go right into SPSS here. These are in-class activities that we're going to do, and we're going to take a look at downloading the data files from the from the textbook website. We go into here and we have a discussion here on finding a distribution chart from an article on the web and talking about that. A couple of questions about that you will apply to these studies that I've included here in the text. And then the lab will be exploring Excel and SPSS, and we'll be doing similar operations on data using both programs. Excel is actually a pretty powerful statistical software. It of course has limits compared to SPSS, but it's a for the everyday sort of things that you might be doing. Excel is fine. It's a great tool. I really like working with Excel, and we'll spend some time with that. So I look forward to seeing you this afternoon, and stay warm. I'm actually in my office, and it's sort of cold. I have a couple heaters going, and hopefully we'll be all warmed up by this afternoon. I'll see you later.